Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's Metaworld news. I have just noticed that my lips aren't flapping, so I better take care of that for you, hadn't I? Are they flapping? No, they're not flapping. I don't know whether they're flapping or not. Maybe James can tell me.
I'm sorry, there they are. Now they're going.
They are flapping.
Uh,
Very good.
well, let's check again.
One,
Maybe
two,
there it is.
one.
Yep.
Yep, there we are. Okay. And of course, I've got the sounds on and everything. We didn't prepare for this properly, did we? Right. Okay. Well, welcome everybody to this week's Mess World News. We cover news in social virtual worlds, interactive spaces online, and also to a certain extent virtual reality technology. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Malburns, Malburns, all one word, for general virtuality and social worlds news. And I'm going to start off today with a few of the highlights that I've already published on that feed. A few days ago, well, I'll just mention on the feed, there's a lovely film at vimeo.com called Ode to VR, the future of virtuality. It's a machinima type film, but a rather nice effort. And I also have another one here from Leighton Marjoram called LHP Awareness Metaverse Tour. And as you can hear, it's loud. Right, mentioning those first. And also on YouTube, VR review news from Roblin VR, which was posted just after our show last week. A great sort of visual thing about the new hardware, basically, of the week. So back into the main set again. And we will get there in the end. There are a few this week. RoadToVR.com, midweek, Ben Lang wrote a piece on Disney research shows how VR can be used to study human perception. Disney, who we all know, of course, do actually have quite a big research division looking at VR and other things. And this is... well, the researchers say the work sets the foundation for more complex and meaningful dynamic interaction between users in VR and real-world objects. So more about that at roadtovr.com. Also at roadtovr.com, advanced brain monitoring, EEG metrics, and experimental VR treatments. This is all about neurotechnology and VR, basically. And this is actually a Voices of VR.com podcast, but there's some extra information about it if you go to the post at Road to VR. Read Write, another popular website, has an article, Virtual Reality Standards, too early or long overdue. And this is getting down to the issue of the need for standards. Is it too early to make up standards, or is it actually long overdue? A very good question, actually, and they endeavour to answer that a little bit. All right, moving forward. Virtuality Times, or oneword.com, has an article on training with heavy construction machinery using VR. This is obviously real-world heavy-duty construction equipment. But they're training people to use the devices, the heavy-duty devices, that is, using VR. There's one rather strange photo with this, which shows him doing VR, the candidate doing VR on a laptop, but it seems to be an illustrated figure doing the training, and it's got this strange gear on the front of the table that I think is meant to simulate a construction truck of some sort. Very funny. Right. A company called Embody Me, I'm sure we've mentioned them before, uses your real face as an avatar in VR. This is, again, virtualrealitytimes.com. Embody Me is a social VR app that offers an interesting set of social activities to do with your friends, but its most popular feature is the avatar creation system, which effectively maps your real face onto the avatars all for you. Scientists have just created a stunning warped worlds in virtuality. This is a post at Futurism, futurism.com. and they're looking at two papers, yes, academic papers that were released last month, and well, basically, it previews a curved universe. Indeed, it does. So, could be much VR to do about lots of stuff in there, I should think. Right. VirtualVR.com has posted relevant link to London here in the UK. London VR Dev Meetup returns on April the 3rd. That will be barely a week away, with holographic streaming, new 3D, and all sorts of stuff. It's an event being held at Hackney House, London. Which is the new venue for this, and the meetup is developer meetup is actually in partnership with an up-and-coming virtuality show that will be held at the same venue. More about that from Road to VR, and who knows? I might, if it's a sunny day, I might truck over there. Who knows? Probably not. Virtual reality astronauts, how to explore space in VR. Again, we're at virtualrealitytimes.com. And the universe is overwhelming, and we've been amazed by its beauty for ages, but now it's possible to get there and see everything for yourself as an astronaut. And indeed, the idea here is that your virtuality will actually be a map of the universe, and you can go trotting off all over the place. To your heart's content. Endless planets to see, probably none to actually explore, but there you go. 9 virtuality videos that dive deep into water issues. This is an article at GreenBizCom. That's GREENBIZ.com. And as the title implies, it's a green sort of ecological site, and they've just dug up 9 VR videos, they call them, experiences that dive deep into water issues. Very cliched, isn't it? Yeah, from an ecological standpoint, some good stuff there. According to a site called shift.newco.co, so that's shift as in your button on the keyboard, .newco, NEWCO .co, CO. Virtual reality leads to smarter companies and a happier workforce. Yes, indeed. Apparently, if your workplace is not using VR, then they're not very smart and you're not very happy. Right, that seems to be the gist of that one. Indeed. As I hear the humming in the background there. See it and believe it, yeah. Might be something to be said for that, though. Experts are set to meet with the federal government, this is the USA obviously, about the need for VR ethics and more research. This is a report at Polygon, Polygon. And it starts with the line, VR sucks right now, but it's not going to in 10 years. And they're looking at the fact that experts should be meeting with the federal government now to sort out what's going to happen in the next 10 years, I suppose. As if anybody possibly knows that. Okay, so that's the main stuff in the VR sort of bit. Right, I'm just looking at a few things I posted on Google Plus here. hgsafari.blogspot.co.uk. The house in SL. Well, I was pleased to trot along yesterday to the Second Life platform, of course, which is where arguably a lot of things started. And the Hypergrid Safari people have built a nice house there. We had a meeting on the roof, but there is a sort of classroom educational floor below that, and there's a guide to grids floor below that, and then a ground floor with other stuff too. And both Pathfinder Lester and Stephen Grassoir, I think we pronounced his name, I forget. There were 2 talks by both of them. And I have to say, most of the people in attendance seem to be people I didn't know from OpenSim and the Hypergrid already. But there were a few Second Life people there too, so The talks were sort of framed at, the possibilities and differences about OpenSim, and particularly the hypergrid, as opposed to Second Life, which, being a walled garden, is somewhat more restricted, should we say. Right, now, I believe James here has got us a camera shot up from our other stage, actually, about VWBPE this year. We did have the organisers on in World Review a couple of weeks ago. I actually have a link open at Kara Second Life. That's Kara, and then Second Life written in words, but all one word, karasecondlife.blogspot.com. One of many posts around, of course, about the 10th annual Virtual Worlds annual best practices. Sorry, they've used the word annual twice. It's not really necessary. 10th annual Virtual World's Best Practices in Education conference will do for me, thank you. This starts on Wednesday, March 29th. It goes through to Saturday, and which will actually be April 1st. But I think you can assume this is serious. Don't worry about Saturday being April the 1st, folks. It really is happening. The event starts at about, I think it's 1 p.m. Pacific or something on Wednesday. The opening event is actually a broadcast that will be streamed into the arena, featuring Ebbe Oldberg in a one-to-one conversation with Kevin Feenan. It's going to be filmed in the studio and beamed in world, so to speak. And you may still have time to submit advanced questions for that. If your question is slated to be used, you'll even be invited into the lockdown audience for that event. And then the conference continues with a whole array of keynotes and things throughout the week. And then on Saturday, there's an additional broadcast studio event featuring Kevin interviewing Draster Dupre, the world of the World Builders series and the Drax Files and everything, but with a focus on talking about education. So that really will be the big event this week, starting on Wednesday and going all the way through to next Saturday. You will be able to go to vwbpe.org and watch various streams. The two broadcast events will be on YouTube. The others will be on a selection of 3 live stream channels. But you'll be able to get links to those simply by going to vwbpe.org. I still get my tongue twisted.
Funny. I think of VW like the car, VW,
yeah.
And I think of BPE like the plastic. So
right.
VW,
okay.
BPE. That's how I've made my mouth work.
That's how you remembered it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I should know by now, but it's said a few times and then it starts sticking.
Yep. Oh, it does.
The needle goes a bit weird. Right. Okay. So another news. Blog.Kokua Viewer. That's KOKUAVIEWER.org. The Kokua Open Sim Viewer has a new version released this week, and it's version 4.2.0.38988. Don't you love version numbers? I don't know why they bother with it. Anyway, you can use it to log into Second Life, by the way, but it is specifically for OpenSim, and it's primarily a bug fix release, but they do point out that jelly dolls and bento joints are not supported. What on earth a jelly doll is, I haven't a clue. Shows how much the...
Yeah, the jelly dolls, I think it was rated to the prim load, and if you had too many prims on your avatar, it would be rendered as what they called a jelly doll. Am I remembering that right?
I haven't a clue.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yep.
It shows how busy I am following Second Life, doesn't it?
Right.
I suspect it's a Linden Lab feature. Certainly
it was.
Yep. The bendo joints are for sure.
That's right.
Yep. Okay. Trust me. Right. Post at plus.google.com, which isn't very helpful because that would take you to the main site actually, but it was one that I highlighted. Every year I come across a lot of enthusiasm for helping OpenSim core developers, and it features the IMA questions and various things. It's a sort of reply to a thread, but I thought it was interesting enough to actually post it for some very, very, very strange reason here. My news link has got its dates mixed up. Okay, I'm switching to the Metaworld feed. Okay, medici.university.co.uk. This is MEDICI and then university, all one word, .co.uk. And join us at MU College of Avatar Architecture. Just a post I found for them. It's in twitter.com slash Metaworld News stream, which goes with this program, so to speak. This is the college's Avatar Architecture and Virtual Urban Planning thing. It's going to be running for 3 months, and it opens on the 1st of April, going through to June. And they've got various information on the site here. They did actually have a campus in Second Life at the LEA 23, and they give you a video of that and talk about the new one. Okay, and another one from the news. Any in the metaverse. This is ANNY, which Oh yeah, I suddenly realised what it does stand for. It stands for Animation Nights New York. And they've teamed up with the social world that's still in beta at the moment called High Fidelity to create a virtual version of Animation Nights in New York at an address called 180 Maiden Lane. When I saw that, I thought it was British because it's a well-known British road, but apparently there's one in New York too, so I was completely wrong on that score.
Well, wouldn't it be New Leighton then? If it's in New York.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, very very architecturally sort of thingy. Not much animation in the article, but there again, you don't want GIFs flickering all over the place, do we? Right, and finally, I think I mentioned this last week. Reporting issues, of course, statistics that dropped this month was a report from David at Hypergrid Business, but I believe that was just before last week's show. So, in fact, nothing greatly new there. So, yeah, I think that about covers it for me. Yeah, we've got Virtual World's best practice in. We've got the Safari House in SL in. And yep, I think that's it. So, James, any news on the developers front before we wrap for this week?
Yeah, just a small amount of news. I attended the office hours on Tuesdays, which are 11:30 in Pacific time, and this is just a meeting where developers show up, users show up to ask questions. It was a small group, but there's a really good discussion in follow-up to our show last week in World Review about how to test permissions. And
Oh yeah.
so there were some links provided that go to the Second Life wiki that have good step-by-step protocols for testing permissions. And since they want to test the permissions to map to the Second Life structure, it looked like a really useful tool. So if there are people wanting to help with that work of testing permissions in Open Simulator, they can find that in the notes for the office hours. There was a little bit of discussion about what might be happening after Avanation closed. If people were speculating, will there be more contributions? And no answer, but just some questioning about that. And then the meeting finished up with some discussion about how perhaps the IMA could be contacted and contribute to testing the permissions model for OS Grid. And so I'm kind of keeping an eye on the working groups that are forming at the IMA. And again, this is the Infinite Metaverse Alliance. And if we could get a working group on permissions, it might be a good first project to get help with that testing that really does need some help to get the newest version of Open Simulator out. And that pretty much is the summary of the meeting.
Right, appropriate that actually, because the InWorld review on, I guess it was Google Plus last week's, did actually have quite a few comments. I replied to some who were asking about permissions. I did reply that firstly, anecdotally, the IMA do have or are bringing up installations of basically all the variants of OpenSim for testing purposes. And also, the other question was, how do I sign up to test? And I think what Melanie had been saying really was that if you're either using a version of OpenSim offline, if you have your own, or indeed you are the owner of a grid, then the testing is really good to you, because obviously it's not just down to testing permissions in your viewer when you're on X grid, who might be running whatever version. That's not really very helpful. It needs to be on a specific installation, and probably done with a couple of people in collaboration to check. So one for the techies there really, but the more people that help test, the better.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
and another aspect of this that came up, I didn't have it in my notes, but um, one thing about it is that really this type of testing really depends on the involvement of the grid owners, because the
Yeah.
grid owners are the ones that can know that what the settings of their grid are, what they're testing, and the grid owners would help to conduct that kind of testing. Users can certainly participate, and users can contribute what they observe, but I really think it needs some coordination by grid owners to actually implement a test like this and get good results back.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess you mentioned the IMA, of course.
Hmm.
If you have, say, an offline thing or something like that that you want to test, and maybe you could contact IMA with about their test installations, and then upload something there to test. I think the idea of their servers is just that.
Yeah, yeah,
They're not public grids. They're there to test things behind the scenes for you. So you might want to take advantage of that. I know they took delivery of their mammoth servers
hmm
at least a couple of weeks ago now. So I'm pretty much sure they've got it all up and running, and we'll probably talk to Steve Levine or something more about that in coming weeks.
yep, I think so.
Okay. Well, I suppose it's news of a sort, but we decided just before coming on today that there won't be an edition of DM World Review this week. I personally did not really wasn't really on the ball chasing people up, because I've been fiddling around in that other place for VWPP broadcasting, VWPPE broadcasting,
Yep, yep.
which of course we'll be doing a lot of during the course of the week. So we'll try and round up. Given that conference is going on, maybe next week's show will be a bit of an aftermath for us. Who knows?
Hmm.
We'll ad lib as we go, but the news will definitely be back. Same time, same place next week. So for now, that's it for this week. Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Yep, bye bye.